A Close Shave, not to be confused with the famous Wallace and Gromit film, is the 14th episode of the second series, based on the story of the same name from the Railway series book, Duck the Diesel Engine. This is the third and final part of the Duck the Diesel Saga for the second series. But is it a satisfying conclusion to the story? Let's take a look. After being framed by Diesel for telling lies about the big engines to the troublesome trucks, Duck sadly goes to Wellsworth and tells Edward what has happened. And it's a great brief recap of the previous episode.
Diesel has been telling lies about me and made the Fat Controller and all the engines think I'm horrid.
Short, sweet and to the point. Edward assures Duck that everything will be alright and suggests helping him with his goods train, which cheers Duck up. The two engines work hard all afternoon to make the trucks behave while taking them up Gordon's Hill. Once at the top, Duck says goodbye to Edward and heads back to the station. As he coasts down the hill, enjoying the breeze, he suddenly hears a guard's whistle. He has been knocked out of the brake van as Edward's trucks have broken away and are racing back towards Duck at breathtaking speed, intending to derail him. Duck hurries through Wellsworth, trying his hardest to outrun the trucks, but they gradually catch up to him on the viaduct and begin pushing him. Just as they are starting to regain control, Duck and his driver see James ahead on the same track, pulling a passenger train out of Crosby Station. Duck puts all of his weight against the trucks but is unable to stop. He shuts his eyes and prepares for the worst, but gets diverted into a siding at the last second after being slowed down enough for James and his coaches to clear the platform and points. At the end of the siding is a small barber shop. As the barber is shaving a customer, Duck is pushed by the trucks into the end of the siding, comes off the rails and crashes right into the front of the shop, destroying the wall. Some trucks derail as well, but pay no attention to this, feeling rather pleased with themselves having successfully derailed Duck. As Duck stares nervously at the crowd in front of him, he tries to apologise, but the barber is furious with Duck for frightening his customers and firmly covers his face with shaving cream. Thomas arrives to help clear the mess, and soon the Fat Controller comes to speak with the barber, who is still fuming. The Fat Controller explains that Duck and his crew helped to prevent a much larger accident with James, adding that it was a very close shave. The barber quickly washes the lather off of Duck's face and apologises for misjudging him. After the trucks have been pulled away, Thomas pulls Duck out of the wrecked barber shop, and the Fat Controller tells him that he will be returning to the yard once he's mended. Duck is worried, believing that the big engines still hate him. The Fat Controller, however, replies that he never believed Diesel and sent him back to the other railway. The other engines are now sorry and want Duck to come back. A few days later, after being mended, Duck returns to the shed where the other engines welcome him back with happy whistles, as he proudly takes his place among them. This, as I said, is the conclusion to the Duck the Diesel Saga, but one thing about it that rubs people the wrong way all these years is the fact that we don't actually see Diesel getting sent away. We just hear the Fat Controller say that,
I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back.
And that's it. We never get a visual evidence of him being sent away. Then again, the same thing happened in the book as well, so obviously the team were sticking loyal to the source material. Nevertheless, this led to a lot of fans on YouTube thinking of their own ways to fill in the gap, showing what could have happened in between Duck leaving the yards and Duck crashing into the barber shop, just to fill in the gaps themselves. I suppose that's the real joy of not seeing Diesel's punishment, leaving the audience to use their imaginations to fill in the blanks. The episode even gives us another runaway and crash scene, with Duck running away from troublesome trucks and crashing into the front of a barber shop. And it's become one of the most iconic crashes within the TV series, since most people talk about it and most people include it within their crash culmination videos on YouTube. And it's really funny to see Duck being covered with shaving cream.
Beg pardon, sir, gasped Duck. Excuse my intrusion. No, I won't, said the barber. You frighten my customers. I'll teach you. And he lathered Duck's face all over.
I object on the grounds that the plaintiff is being a little bitch about this whole thing. He should just be happy he's alive.
And years later, I find this line super hilarious.
I do not like engines popping through my walls, fumed the barber.
The way the barber says it almost makes it feel like it happens to him regularly. As if he's opened up other barber shops and sidings in other places and it's happened before. I don't know if he meant it like that, but it just seems that way the way Sir Ringo Starr delivered it. It's just super hilarious in my opinion. And speaking of the scenes inside the barber shop, they use a large-scale model of Duck to fit in with the large-scale models of the barber and his customers. And the face that was used for Duck was originally intended for Thomas's large-scale model. And this is the second opportunity in the second series where we get to hear the Series 2 version of the Runaway theme. Of course, it's another version of it with a different ending. And the ending for this version of it is a lot more dramatic than the previous one, really showing off the impact of the crash. Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell really were geniuses when it came to their music themes for the series, and it surprises me that they never won any awards for it. That I know of. Despite the fact that we don't actually see Diesel getting his punishment and being sent away in disgrace, I find A Close Shave to be a really satisfying ending to the Duck the Diesel Saga. It's got a really enjoyable runaway and crash scene for the fans that love runaways and crashes. And as I mentioned, the barber putting shaving cream on Duck's face is super hilarious and one of the most iconic images for the TV series. And it has a happy ending that's really satisfying after seeing the sad ending of Dirty Work. So I would definitely recommend checking this episode out if you haven't seen it for a while. If you're going to watch this episode, I'd suggest going back to Pop Goes the Diesel and watching that, then Dirty Work before Close Shave. It's 3 stories that's really meant to be seen in a marathon. It's one of the best sagas for the TV series, and it introduces the rivalry of Duck and Diesel, as well as diesel engines and steam engines. Check this episode out if you haven't for a while. It's got a great runaway scene, a great crash scene, and it's just an all-around great Duck the Great Western Engine episode.